Morning, morning, morning. Morning, Roxanne. Proud to be Trini. Morning, Kathy and Best. Morning, Brenda, Isaac. Morning, morning. Yes, there's my brooms. Kathleen K, Terrence Swan. Morning. Just doing another thing this morning. Carol Myers. Morning, Carol. Lonnie Rodney. Morning. Clay Carrington. Morning. Natalie Faria. Jennifer Dorset. Morning, guys. Morning, Joyce. Fine morning, Annette Beard. Good morning. Morning, Joy. Morning, Marilyn. Nobody. Just populating quick. Elena Kwashi, morning. Glenn Richardson. Pauline Buckmeyer, morning. Morning, Ruth. Adriana Alexis. Philomena Collins. Morning, Diane. Morning, Alison Samuel. Laverne Brown, morning to all of you. Hi, Denise. Morning, Joyce. Street in Mumbai. Oh, sorry. Let me just get this here. Right. Lucy Brown, morning. Arthur James, good morning to you. Yeah, I couldn't make yesterday morning because I had a early morning meeting, so I had to be in Port of Spain in time for 8 o'clock to meet with some Central Bank folks. So, Angela Kati, morning. Yeah. So I'll just be on for, just a short bit this morning. I don't like to rain on Sharon and Bruce's parade. And so I know some people would, Tuesday to Thursday is fine. Tuesday and Thursday is fine, so they could still take in Sharon and Bruce Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, yeah, I don't want to make it difficult for those persons. They're my peoples, so I will allow them on that station. Yeah, that station. I don't even know what's been happening in the evening drive with that station because, yeah, don't even have time to listen to that trash. Yeah, anyway. So, what has happened in the last couple of days? So, get this here. Let's see. So, no, I will. I have to. This is another crave your indulgence morning. I know you all. Josephine Guy morning, Annette Bed, Gemma Alexander morning. You also like when morning Cyril, Linda Taris, morning Shah, morning Rookman. When I play those folks, but forgive me. Yeah, sometimes it's necessary just to show them up now. So I began this morning. Why is this thing not cooperating? Just give me one. Oh boy, Apple disappointed me greatly. So folks, let me try this again. See. Right, let me see what I'm getting here. So, there was an article that I saw in the Newsday yesterday that I wanted to touch on quickly. It says injunction blocking firearms report remains. That's Gary Griffith's injunction. National Security Council's appeal pushed to December. An injunction restraining the Prime Minister and National Security Council from laying an executive summary of a report on an audit into the police firearms registry in Parliament remains in force a little longer. This is because the NSC's appeal of the March ruling of Justice Devendra Rampersad will be heard in December. And the appeal was expected to be heard on Wednesday, but was adjourned to December 13th. In March, Rampersad ruled that the controversial report, or any part of it, cannot be laid in Parliament, but should only be provided to present Commissioner and the Police Service Commission. Two people. The present Commissioner, I suppose, for her to go through it to see if it warrants an investigation, and then she could take it from there. And of course, the Police Service Commission, who is the boss of the commission. However, Justice Rampasad did rule that Dr. Rowley and the members of the cabinet who formed the National Security Council had the power to appoint the committee to audit and investigate the grant of firearms by the police over the period 2016 to 2021. So we see how far back they went, 2016 to 2021. So it wasn't only under Mr. Griffith, right? It was 2 years prior to Mr. Griffith becoming Commissioner of Police, and for the 3 years in which he was, in fact, Commissioner of Police. Griffith had complained about the legality of the setting up of the committee by Dr. Rowley and his NSC to investigate the police firearms department licensing regime, its operations, and the issuance of FULs. The former top cop who held the post from 2018 to 2021 said he was concerned that the contents of the report and the process used by the committee, comprising of retired police officers, were irretrievably tainted by bad faith and illegality because the Prime Minister had no power to appoint such a committee. Well, Justice Rampasad ruled that contrary to Mr. Griffith's position that the Prime Minister had no such authority, the judge said the Prime Minister and the National Security did in fact have such authority. So on that score, Mr. Griffith was wholly wrong, right? Wholly wrong. He also cited statements by Dr. Rowley made after Griffith announced the launch of his political party and his decision to reapply to be top cop. Griffith said he feared the publication of the report or any part of it would expose him to public ridicule, and if laid in Parliament, would protect Rowley and the media by qualified or absolute privilege from defamation claims for damages. I just have one question in respect to that, right? Griffith said he feared publication of the report or any part of it would expose him to public ridicule, and if laid in Parliament, would protect Rowley and Wright. And I've asked this question before and I'll ask it again. If this is a report that was generated by or commissioned by the National Security Council, the persons who did the investigation would have provided the report to the National Security Council because that's their client. So the only persons who would have laid sight or should have laid sight on that document would have been members of the National Security Council. And as we read here, the judge said the only persons other than the National Security Council who should have a copy of that report is the Police Service Commissioner and the Commissioner. I keep asking the question then, how does Mr. Griffith know what is in the report? How does he know that? If you never saw it, how do you know what is in it? It's just like the merit list, that they claim his name was first on the list. You never see the merit list. The merit list went from the Police Service Commission to the President, back to the Police Service Commission, and probably the shredder after that. How do you know your name was first on the list? How do you know where you ranked on that list? Again, how do you know what is in the report, such that you would go to such extremes as to run to the court, to ask the court to injunct Dr. Rowley and the National Security Council from laying the reports in the Parliament, and further to go to say, you have the considered view that the report would expose you to public ridicule. Public ridicule. So it tells me if I haven't seen the report, but I want to file an injunction, it says because I know what the report would say, because I know. There's only one reason why I would know what is in the report or what I believe is in the report. One reason only, if I haven't seen it. So we have to wait until December for the appeal court to make a decision as to whether or not the report can and should be laid. Now remember what Justice Rampasad said in a written ruling on who should pay for partial success of the lawsuit filed by Griffith in October last year. Rampasad said while the challenge to the propriety of the audit failed, it was not unreasonable to have brought the claim. The challenge to the propriety of the audit report failed. In other words, the challenge brought by Mr. Griffith saying that the Prime Minister and the National Security Council had no such authority or power to investigate, to put together this investigative team to commission this report. His contention was they didn't have that authority. The judge said that is not so. They have the authority to do it. In terms of what the report contains, so on, the judge is saying everything is proper. The issue we have here, what I will find on your part, you are saying you did not get an opportunity to respond to the contents of the report. You did not get an opportunity to respond to what is in the report and what was said about you. And if that is the case, well then fine. Due process dictates that they do in their investigation, they should have come and talk to you and say, well, hey, here's what. We do an investigation and certain things have come up. We just need to let you know this is what we're going to put in. This is what we found so far. Would you like to respond? All right, and they say this, but you have to understand the challenge that would have faced these investigators, right? You want to call them. We have been commissioned by the National Security Council to do an investigation into the issuance of firearms licenses. And during that process, certain information has come to us through whatever means, whether it is they would have viewed documents, they would have interviewed police officers, interviewed other persons, and certain information came out. Okay. As was the case with the Stanley John report. Mr. Griffith is on record as saying Stanley John told him that Griffith, was not part of his investigation in any form or fashion, and therefore, as we would have read in previous articles, Mr. Griffith would have basically said, look, okay, well, I'm not the subject of any investigation. And he went on to say that Justice John would have asked him for assistance in a number of areas with respect to organizing interviews with police officers, providing certain documents, reports, and so on. And he obliged, because as far as he was concerned, he was not to be part of any such investigation. When the final report came out and he was mentioned in the report, he took issue with the very report that he supported. Right? Okay, fine. We saw it with Live Sport. A report was done by the audit committee involving Ashwin Creed. I can't remember the other guy's name. There were certain findings based on the investigations we put in the report. Ashwin Creed and the other guy went to court and said, look, we didn't have an opportunity to respond to any of these findings in this report, and therefore due process didn't happen. It didn't take place. And we are challenging the report on that basis. And the judge said, yes, we agree with you. They should have provided you with this information and they should have gotten your side of the story. Fine. The process was wrong. We quashed that. Okay. The findings of the report, the judge made no determination on. Contrary to what Andy Roberts loves to say, that the judge said that it was rubbish and all that. The judge never said that. The judge said nothing with respect to the findings in the report. What the judge said was that the process was incomplete. In compiling the report, they should have spoken to Mr. Creed and the other persons who were mentioned and implicated in the report. Had the audit committee done that, then the report would have stood and right. So we know what the outcome of that was. I don't think the audit committee did a second investigation or whatever. So we see where that goes. But we know Live Sport is still under investigation based on what has been said and told to us by former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi and others. But coming back to Mr. Griffith and this appeal, again I ask, how you know what's in the report? I just asking question. How you know what is in the report that you felt you needed to take such extreme action as to go to court and file an injunction? I'm just asking. Is it that we had another whistleblower? Is it that another whistleblower, another one of these many persons who admired Mr. Griffith or who, based on his previous position as Commissioner of Police, feel the need to share information with him and so on, may have provided him with a copy of the report? I don't know. I just ask him. Because other than that, I see no other way that he could know what is in the report that he felt he needed to file an injunction. Yeah? So again, I'm not saying that is what has happened in this case, but I am just asking how you know what's in the report, because you're not sitting in the National Security Council, you're not the Commissioner of Police, and you're not in the Police Service Commission either. And since those were the only three entities that should have had sight of this report other than the investigators, leads me to ask the question, did another copy fall out of the sky? You know? Yeah, from one of these many whistleblowers, as Mr. Griffith calls them. And if that is so, there is no limits. There is no place that is safe from these whistleblowers. Not even the National Security Council safe. Now, I am not saying that Mr. Griffith got a copy of the report. I'm just saying, asking. Because I can't, go on a hunch. They say, well, yeah, go in and file an injunction because I feel or I had a dream that certain things were mentioned, because all the Prime Minister said about that report is that it makes a very disturbing reading. He didn't identify if it was for the period 2016 to 2018, 2018 to 2021. Assumptions could have been made. But that's all he said. He didn't disclose, as far as I'm aware, any other thing. The only things that we know with respect to intimate details about that whole FUL process is what came out of the Stanley John report, and that is not the report that Mr. Griffith has, as far as I'm aware. So, jump. Right? This is the first report that was done. National Security Council, Police Service Commission had their own report, which is Stanley John. The Police Complaints Authority also initiated an investigation. I don't know what is happening with that one. And then the police was supposed to be conducting their own investigation as well. And so far, eight officers, I believe, or 8 persons have been arrested. So 4 separate investigations. I leave that there. Mr. Griffith likes to felt lawsuit left, right, and center. So I see Rhoda Bharat. So I don't know, it's like he monitors Rhoda Bharat's pages, or he has someone monitoring Rhoda Bharat's pages. So the minute she says anything that constitutes contempt or he believes is defamatory, he just ready to run to the courthouse. So certain things she would have republished and said subsequent to the last interaction in the court. The court deemed it to be contempt, and I believe she has to pay Mr. Griffith's costs. What is the extent of those costs? I do not know. But I've noticed that Ms. Bharat has moved away from that topic altogether. In fact, she did not even address the decision of the court to find her in contempt. And perhaps it's wise for her to do so. Just leave that alone for the time being, right? And let due process take its course. Yeah? When the report is depending on the outcome of this appeal, if the court finds that the document can in fact be laid in Parliament, that will bring an end to that saga, and then it will be open for everybody to read and make comment as necessary or as you see fit, right? So hold your horses, Rhoda, don't worry. Soon enough. Again, however this thing goes, right? I am not prejudging what the outcome of the appeal is going to be. I just say we'll see how that goes. Right, and of course, more positive news. So let me get this thing here. Why this thing not cooperating with me this morning? I don't know. Okay, let's try this again. Right, this is what I wanted to get here. So I saw the Minister of National Security posted something on Facebook just now, right? Well, not just now, a few hours ago. It says, Kamla Prasad Direka, not Bisesa. Kamla Prasad Direka hemmed and hawed about the budget and her feeble, weak-kneed response. After 4 days of debate, we spent 1 week in Finance Committee, where she could have come to drill down her arguments and the issues raised in her poorly read and prepared by others' speech. She did not come once, not one day. She challenged no minister, no ministry, no plan, no policy, or expenditure. Her less than mediocre bunch wasted the same week. Her less than mediocre bunch wasted the same week in tedious and boring repetition. The UNC badly let down the country as an opposition, and they did not vote against the budget. It was passed without objection. Well done, PNM. We will always prevail. Right. So I guess the budget has been passed in the lower house without objection. So there was no, so I guess, I don't know if it is the opposition would have abstained, most likely, because if there was no objection, they didn't say no, they just abstained, possibly. I'll check it out and see. After they went through, as Mr. Hines said, a whole week asking a set of foolish questions. Well, not all the questions were foolish. And I want to say, thanks to Ravi Ratiram. For once, we could thank him for something, right? So I caught sight last night of yesterday's session where he would have been grilling the Ministry of Agriculture, represented by Avinash Singh. And Mr. Ratiram asked so many questions. He was just rattling off like a AR-15, question after question. And what came out of that for me was the amount of information with respect to the amount of projects and programs taking place in the Ministry of Agriculture. I didn't even know. It's a good thing Ratiram decided to ask all these questions. He just pulling up this program, that program, and he wants to know what's the status of this and the amount of money that has been allocated to this and from last year and this year and whatnot. So many things happening in the Ministry of Agriculture, but yet still these people say the government don't care about agriculture. And the government not putting anything in place for agriculture. And the government has forsaken agriculture, and agriculture is the bastard child and all of that. And so many programs, so much things happening in the Ministry of Agriculture. And so I had to say, well, wait now, like Ratiram crossed the floor. Had to be. Because all these questions you're asking, and you just showing the country all the things that this administration has been doing and has initiated in agriculture with respect to helping farmers, providing support for farmers in a variety of different ways. So when I was thinking Ministry of National Youth Development and National Service with their homestead program and so on, and that was something to laud because it's in conjunction with the Ministry of Agriculture. That was something for us to commend and laud. You have so many other things, programs taking place in agriculture that we had no clue about. I mean, that yesterday's session alone, they should clip that and have that somewhere posted up on PNM Facebook page or something for people to listen to. Right? In fact, Ravi Ratiram commended Avinash Singh and the Ministry of Agriculture for the good work that they're doing in certain areas, and he hopes to see that continued in the next fiscal year going forward. Imagine that. He commended them. No wonder why they couldn't vote against the budget. No wonder why. Everything. This year's Standing Finance Committee was a little more sober and a little more sedate than in past years, where it would have been fireworks pelting left, right, and center. Yeah? Maybe, I don't know, but we got a little bit of Mr. Embert's, usual tears style, but it wasn't as prevalent this year. Maybe, I don't know, maybe as he gets along in age, I don't know. Or he probably decide, look, it ain't worth it anymore. But we get a little taste of it here and everywhere. By and large, it wasn't as, I was listening, was it some radio station yesterday or something, and they were commenting on that. And they were reading comments over Facebook where some people were saying they were disappointed because they were expecting more bacchanal and raucous in the Standing Finance Committee, which they didn't get. So kudos. So the budget has been passed in the lower house because it's a money bill. They don't really need the support of the Senate, but goes to the Senate next for it to be debated there, and there will be more information provided as those ministers who are senators and not members of the lower house, such as the Minister of Trade and Industry, when she did present in the budget debate in the lower house, indicated she would be sharing a lot more information in the Senate, during the Senate debate, on what her ministry is doing. And her ministry, in fact, is proving to be very proactive, and they're doing a lot of work with respect to pushing for enhancing Trinidad and Tobago's exports, right? And through Export TT and so on, they're looking for opportunities outside for Trinidad and Tobago manufacturers, and whether it be through agro-processing and so on, to be able to sell their products regionally and internationally, which is a good thing. And I've made the point before, this is a very good thing, especially for those persons who are, those young people who are participating in the homestead program, so that when they come out, instead of just focusing on planting crops for sale in the domestic market, they could look and focus on agro-processing, where they could use things like cassava, sweet potato, yam, dashing, all of these different things, and rather than just sell it as is, raw, from the ground to the table. It's different things you could do. You could make cassava chips, plantain chips, all of these different things, and sell it regionally and more so internationally, because when you travel and you go to the US in particular, in Europe, You don't really see a lot of these indigenous things, foods outside here. Yeah, if it is you in the US and you want to make a callaloo, it's difficult to get what we know as callaloo bush, not that spinach that they have outside there, and you're supposed to improvise and make it says it'll taste the same. What they call in spinach, what they call callaloo, it don't cut. It just not cutting. Yeah. So these are opportunities. You have a diaspora outside there that yearns for these things and had to wait until uncle, auntie, brother, sister, and then coming up. And I tell them, bring so and so for me now. Bring. But even things, remember stuff like dasheen bush and these things, you could get in trouble for taking that to the US in its raw state, because they usually ask you, customs would ask you if you have anything to declare and whatnot. And if you happen to be one of the persons that they pull out to search your bag, and they go through your bags and they see these things, you could get in some serious trouble. Or you could have to pay some serious money, at least 300 US, if it is you say you don't have these products in your bag and you have it. Yeah? So these are things to look at, but there are opportunities outside there. And I'm saying to the young people, don't focus on only going in the Makoya market or the wherever is the central market now. Have opportunities to make US dollars. Don't only think about TT dollars. We need the US dollars, and yeah, you all could come together, 3, 4, 5 of you all. It would rather be everybody competing against each other. 3, 4, 5 of you all could come together, 2 acres by 5, that's 10 acres. You all could produce far more. If it is you decide you want to focus on a particular crop and you want to market it or sell it to the US, to Europe or whatever, and your 2 acres would not be able to really make a dent, 5, 6, 10 of you all would have been colleagues for 2 years doing the course. So, all right, here what we doing. We're coming together, we pull in our 10 acres, or combine 10 acres or 20 acres, and we're going to focus on this crop or these 2 so that we could produce in a quantity that makes sense to export. And we could make money. We could form some business together, go and register a business, and the 10 of you all are business partners or whatever it is. And use it. Come on, use all your head. Use your head. Right? Think international. Think regional. You only want to earn TT dollars. We're looking for US dollars here, and who knows, the sky is the limit. You could start in the US market. The world is your oyster, as they say. There's over 7 billion people in the world, right? And only 1.5 million of them also on a daily basis have access to certain things that are indigenous to Trinidad. So you still have over 7 billion people that you can market Trinidad stuff to. Yeah? So don't only think US too. Pounds worth more. You have euros. All these are different currencies. Work export and how you could penetrate these markets. And remember, you could go and do your own research for yourself and establish linkages with distribution companies in the US. You know, you go up there, you pitch your thing, you get them a sample, and market it from the diaspora perspective, and then you could take it from there. Yeah, there are a lot of people in other countries who have never heard of Trinidad, have never visited Trinidad, and may never visit Trinidad, but that doesn't mean they can't taste Trinidad through your hands. So just throwing that out there, for them. And I hope these are some ideas that they will be introducing these young people to in this program, so they could see beyond just the local market. Right. So in some more positive, and this is I get to the point of being your Laumina. Right? Just let me get this here, right? No, I know I don't like to listen to he, and I don't like to listen to he neither, but please forgive me this morning. I think I played this before, and I just asking you to allow me to just put it one more time. And it's in respect to the Dragon guy.
Coffee. I just had a laugh, Express newspaper.
Yeah, so there was another major development this week, perhaps the most significant development. You all recall that when the license was granted back in January of this year, it came with the caveat that Trinidad and Tobago could negotiate with Venezuela. However, for the development of the Dragon gas field, we just couldn't pay them in cash. So we had to find creative ways to be able to compensate Venezuela for their gas. Right? We're talking about 4 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, and most of which belongs to them. And so we had to come up with some creative way to pay them. And Dr. Rowley would have stated at a press conference that is the biggest issue and the biggest challenge with respect to this whole development, right? How do they compensate Venezuela? Because that would have been one of the sticking points in terms of the negotiations for that dragon gas deal. Minister Young would have announced this week that they would have received an extension on the OFAC license with respect to the dragon gas deal. And they now have the benefit that the US has changed their position, and Venezuela can now be paid in dollars, pounds, bolivares, rupees, whatever, any currency, fiat currency, hard currency. Apparently, the reporters or the journalists in The Guardian, I think it's The Guardian, don't know what fiat is. Either they don't know what fiat currency means or stick brick in their ears. Because I don't understand. And I listened and I re-listened and listened again to the press conference that Minister Young did. And at no point in time did Minister Young say that you could pay for that they could pay Venezuela in cryptocurrency. But The Guardian saw it fit to publish an article the following day stating that Trinidad and Tobago could pay Venezuela in cryptocurrency. And the minister had to come and debunk that and say, again, I am forced, every time I have a press conference on anything to deal with this dragon deal matter, I always had to come the next day to correct if it's the Express or the Guardian or whoever. So I don't know if it is he said fiat and somebody in the Guardian say here crypto, or they figure that fiat means crypto and publish that. Oh gosh, Olio, get a dictionary now. Seriously? You see, that's why I had to say we don't have journalists in this country that's a tobacco analyst, you know. Olio, really? Anyway. So the minister would have announced that big hurdle, and he referenced Dr. Rowley's example, where he said it's like negotiating this deal is likened to pushing a boulder up a hill. You're making strides and you're pushing it going, but it's tough work. But at the end of the day, you're gonna get here. You have to put your back to it, put your shoulder, everything twist and turn, you stop and take a rest and all of that. But eventually, you're gonna reach the top. Yeah? And for each push and as you endure, your muscles continue to grow, and over time, your stamina will build, and you will be able to push a little more, and the pushing becomes a little easier. So this particular hurdle with respect to how we're going to pay Venezuela has now been addressed, right? So it no longer exists. As Minister Young would have indicated, the next step is for him to lead a team back to Venezuela so they could conclude the negotiations with respect to who is going to be doing what is the process, how much the gas coming to Trinidad, and all of these different things. So we're almost there. In the Newsday yesterday, there was an article, Kiss of Life for TNT, Stakeholders and Dragon Gas Deal. And the extension of the license issued by the U.S. Office of Foreign Assets and Control, OFAC, for TT to access natural gas from the Dragon Gas field in Venezuela, and the ability to pay for that gas in different ways was welcomed with a mix of optimism and calls for the government to move expeditiously to seize the opportunity. Has the government not been doing that? It's been approximately 10 months or thereabouts since it was announced that they got this license. And a lot of work has gone into treating with this matter over the last 10 months. Almost immediately upon the announcement of this license being granted, the government would have set about the process of engaging Venezuela, going back and forth, Stuart Young, as Dr. Rowley said, doing shuttle work between Trinidad to Washington to Venezuela to Trinidad to Washington to Venezuela. Constant work. We keep seeing Stuart Young, for those of us who follow his Facebook page and so on, and posts that would have been put out by the PNM Facebook page and others, showing the constant work that Stuart Young has been doing in the advancement of this whole project. Among those commenting were former government ministers Vasant Bharat, Kevin Ramnarayan. I don't know why they feel they need to keep going to this man, but anyway. Energy analyst Gregory Maguire, UAE economist Dr. Valmiki Arjun, Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce President Kiran Singh, the American Chamber of Commerce, and the Confederation of Regional Business Chambers. Right. So they just have come. Ramnarayan said, right, that's not one. Let's see. I didn't really want to read Bharat. Okay. From his conversations with experts in Trinidad and Venezuela, Kevin Ramnarine said it could take a minimum of 2 years to access the first gas from Dragon. A question mark hangs on the status of the wells that were drilled in the Dragon field almost 14 years ago and what infrastructure would be required to produce the natural gas and handle the associated liquids. Ramnarine said the public should be told what the total capital expenditure for the project is, who will fund it, and what money the NGC would be required to put out. He underscored the importance of timelines. Ramnarine said Shell was awarded front-end engineering. These timelines are indicative of the technical and engineering realities. Okay, all of that. You know anything else can understand with these individuals? Here you have something that could benefit Trinidad and Tobago. Since the days of Patrick Manning, God rest his soul, Mr. Manning has been gone for almost 8 years. During his tenure, from 2001, December of 2001, when he became Prime Minister, thanks to the efforts of former President, the late Arthur Napoleon Rayburn Robinson, who in his wisdom on December 24th of 2001 would have given Trinidad and Tobago a gift of Mr. Patrick Manning as our Prime Minister, much to the chagrin of Basdio Pandey and Kamla Prasad Bisesa et al. Right? Since then, come forward, they've been trying to bring this gas to Trinidad and Tobago. We have finally made a significant headway. These men will always try to come up with, let me see what is the negative we could talk about here. Focus on the positive now. No. Yes, it's good news, but. Yes, it's good news, but. But we want to know this, and we want to know that. Seriously? I mean, how's he saying? Philip Alexander has a saying, these fellas could spoil hog food. They cannot just look at this thing with positive lenses. We want to know this, and the public needs to know that. What they do, and they pretend as if they're so happy for what is happening, and then they come and they throw certain things in the mix that would cause suspicion, and the public who support them would focus on that. It's the same thing that happened with Sandals. Sandals coming here was good news. Sandals all over the rest of the Caribbean, right? No issues, no problem. Some countries, some Caribbean countries have 2 and 3 Sandals resorts. We have none, and possibly will never have one, right? People come here. There's a good thing. Dr. Rowley, even before he became Prime Minister, as he indicated, would have spoken to the late Gordon Butch Stewart about bringing a Sandals to Trinidad and Tobago, right? And he started, in anticipation of becoming Prime Minister, he started to put things in place. And when he won the election, he became Prime Minister, he decided, let me plow through with this thing now and bring Sandals here. So they're only talking diversification. We need to diversify the economy. We bring in Sandals here, that will assist in some way with respect to tourism. Good thing, you know. Leave it to them. Let me inspect this thing and see what negatives we could bring out and say, well, yes, it's a good thing, but. It's a good thing, but. And so the public will focus on the but, right? And only talking about the but and the but, and we want to know what in the MOU, and we want to know this, and we want to know that, and transparency. They didn't know about transparency when they were in office. So the public always focusing on the but and never the good side of things. And then the but becomes overwhelming, and then so he throws this in the mix. We need to know. Let me get this here. A question mark hangs on the status of the wells that were drilled in the Dragon field almost 14 years ago, and what infrastructure would be required to produce the natural gas. Ramnarine said the public should be told what the total capital expenditure for the project is, who will fund it, and what money the NGC would require to put. You don't think all of these things would have been discussed? You don't think so? Stuart Young is stupid. You feel what Ramnarine figure he knows better than Stuart Young? He knows something that Stuart Young doesn't know. He knows something that Stuart Young and the Ministry of Energy doesn't know with respect to negotiating contracts. You think the government is going to get into this thing that we have been pursuing for almost 2 decades to lose money? Obviously, all of these things would have been taken into consideration. So they know this is what we're going to do. In order for Trinidad and Tobago to benefit, in order for us to get a piece of money from this, because remember, this is Venezuela's gas. Venezuela is under no obligation or compulsion to bring their gas here or to do any business with us. As Stuart Young has been telling us on numerous occasions, when it is he went to Venezuela, as soon as he walked out the negotiating room, it had people outside waiting, or people in other rooms having discussions with Venezuela for others to do business with Venezuela. We want to ease up a little bit. Yeah, we want to ease up the sanctions. Why? It's not necessarily because they so love Trinidad and Tobago. It is because of the influx of Venezuelans into the United States now is posing a problem, an immigration problem, which could be a headache for the Biden administration going into general election 2024. As we know, they have a general election in November next year. And one of the big ticket issues that people always vote on in the US has to do with immigration. And when you have an influx of Venezuelans, especially in places like New York, and you have New York City officials complaining, we are overwhelmed. We are overwhelmed. Even our public schools, there's problems. They have to be spending money to rent out a whole hotel to house Venezuelan migrants who have come to New York looking for opportunity. And therefore, it is in the best interest of the United States, because they have possibly realized the humanitarian crisis that has led to this exodus of persons into the US is as a result of their doing. It is their sanctions that has put Venezuela in the situation that they are in now. So while, as I say, with all things good intention, so their intention in putting these sanctions on Venezuela was to put the squeeze on the Maduro regime to bring about free and fair elections and so on and all that. It didn't work. It didn't work. So now the US is feeling the backlash of their policies. Yeah? So you all brought hardship on the economy of Venezuela with your sanctions, and now the Venezuelan citizens who you were trying to protect, the Venezuelan citizens who your sanctions were supposed to help, you have in fact hurt them more than you helped them. And so now they come to you for help. And that help is causing problems. So you need to fix the mess that you created in Venezuela. Revive the economy in Venezuela so that Venezuelans could thrive in their own country rather than trying to go to other people's countries to eke out a living. And even when that happens with the easing of these sanctions, those Venezuelans who have made it to the United States and who now have 18 months sanctuary, so they could live and work in Venezuela in the US, for at least 18 months, and with the possibility of an extension. You feel when they set up roots in the US, they want to go back home? No, not even if Venezuela fixed. Some of them might, but the majority of them may not do that at all, because they would have established homes and jobs and families in the US. And as far as they're concerned, the US is it. So why would they want to go back home? So this needs to be fixed. And obviously, I keep making the point, any deal that Trinidad and Tobago would have negotiated with Venezuela prior to the announcement of the US that they were going to ease these sanctions would have had to be reviewed by the US for this thing to make sense. For it to make sense. But again, with Kevin Ramnarine and them coming to talk about, we need to know this and we need to know that. And they will continue to hammer at that and not the benefits that will come to Trinidad and Tobago. Only the government ain't talking about this. And the government signed a non-disclosure agreement. And why they had to sign non-disclosure, and the citizens need to know. And then you have Professor and his sidekick on that station will be pushing that stupidness. Oh, they signed non-disclosure agreement, and we the citizens supposed to know. Supposed to know what? That's all you guys? That is not all you guys. And Churchill has continued to make the point. There are a number of other countries and entities that are seeking to do business with Venezuela. And if it is Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago are able to hammer out a special agreement, right, where they make certain concessions, it would not be the same for everybody. There are lots of countries that are coming to do business, gas business with Venezuela, who have not had the same challenges as Trinidad and Tobago has, because we have a lot of Venezuelans here. But you have European countries where Venezuelans have not gone. And perhaps out of gratitude for what the Trinidad and Tobago government has been doing with respect to these Venezuelan nationals and accommodating them for the last couple of years, obviously that would factor into the negotiations. Because Venezuela has citizens here who may not be inclined to go back home. And therefore, if we could put in this deal certain things to be able to assist those who are already here to improve their lives. So the children need to go to school. What can we do with respect to that? Better jobs. We have professionals who are leaving Venezuela, doctors, lawyers, architects, you name it, engineers, who are leaving Venezuela and are coming to Trinidad and doing menial jobs. Jobs that is well below their qualification, What can we do to be able to open up the market so that they can exploit or utilize their unique skills or their training, their professional training? What can we do to facilitate that? So those are things that would factor in to those conversations that don't exist in other countries where Venezuelans did not go. But like them, all they gonna focus on, they sign NDA, and they sign NDA. We want to know what is in the non-disclosure, and we want to know this. Again, it was the same thing when Dr. Rowley and Stuart Chung in the early days of this administration were able to negotiate with Shell and BP and so on to be able to get back some money that the former administration, right, would have forfeited, given away to generous concessions to encourage these companies to spend more money, drill, find more oil and find more gas and sell it. But don't give you no money. You know what to do? Any money you only spend to drill them wells and all of that, take it back. Take it back. Yeah? Make sure when you recover it, same thing happening in Guyana now, where one company would have retrieved some $4 billion in expenses, and the people of Guyana get only 675 million US, as opposed to the 4 billion that the energy company got, right? And I suppose the government would have done proper scrutiny to make sure that it's really 4 billion that they spent, and not 3 billion and say 4 and take an extra 1 billion. But that's all right. When Dr. Rowley and Stuart Chung went and they were able to get back in the first instance $3 billion for us, it was done in the same way. BP and Shell and them say, here what? Remember, it's not only Trinidad and Tobago we're doing business with, right? And we hear what it is that you're saying. Okay, fine. You only have as much gas as Nigeria and this one and that one. So, yes, we were given generous concessions by the previous administration, and they give it to us what they want us to do. Say now we don't want it because they offered it, yeah. But we hear what you say, that the country Trinidad and Tobago didn't really benefit from this, and you need to give back some of your money. All right, we'll give you some back. But shh, all right? Because if you announce what the concession that we're making for you, everybody else, the other countries that we're dealing with will hear that too, and then they go pick up the phone to go that. What about we? But we demanding the same thing too. And it's going to affect the bottom line. What happened? UNC put question to Dr. Rowley in the parliament. He answered the question, and the next thing Shell and BP or whoever sent him a letter saying, we are very disappointed. We asked you, we tell you earlier, this is where it's well. You're putting us in a precarious position now where other people come in to knock on our door and say they want the same deal and the same concessions that we gave to you. Come now, man. But they love Trinidad. They love Trinidad and Tobago, and they want to be the government, the next government. But this is the nonsense that they're doing. So coming back to this issue, right? Forgive me, I know Ali don't like to listen to I don't like to listen to him either. But it's he and Karen Nuisance Teixeira. You remember when this latest development was announced with respect to the signing of the deal between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago? Karen jumped out her whole self to say she's certain that one of the concessions Trinidad and Tobago would have made in signing that deal is that since we can't pay in cash, we would allow Venezuelans to just walk in here as if it's a free-for-all. Yeah? Visa, no visa. They could just hop on a plane, hop on the ferry, come to Trinidad, and do whatever it is they want. This is what she said. She's certain of that. In several interviews that she would have done, television, radio, and so on, she made that statement. And then, of course, on that very same that station there, with Captain Clueless and Professor Misinformed, she would have said the same thing. Yeah? That Stuart Chung, and she was vexed because Stuart Chung took her to task, and Stuart Chung said this about her and that about her. And interestingly, since this press conference Stuart Chung had a couple of days ago making this announcement, are there anything from Karen? Where is Karen? Oh, Karen, we ain't hearing from you. Where art thou? Karen, where art thou? You have nothing to say? No interviews? No articles to write? You have nothing good to, this is not something for you to comment on, Karen. But let me just play this, Forgive me, people, please. Right. As I said, I know I beg all the indulgence again. Let's put this on. Where is this thing? It was just there, you know. Tuesday. Just wait for this thing to come up. Technology, boy. No, I don't want that. What is this? Flow again, I know. It's not folks. Just give me an opportunity just for this to come on. Right. Yeah, so I was making the point. I didn't hear nothing from Karen. All of the usual suspects who love to do live and all kind of thing to talk about. You hear any of them? You see anything from any of them? David Lee. Where is David Lee? David Lee, who is the Shadow Minister of Energy. Has he made a statement? Did he call a press conference, as they love to call press conferences, to respond to Sir John? You heard him say anything? Kamala love to put out press releases. You see, have any of you seen a press release from Mrs. Prasad Bissessa? Or as Fitzgerald Hines says, she missing in action? I heard she's gone to the US to undergo a procedure. Yeah? Anyway, let me go there. I heard it had something to do with toes and so forth. I don't know. That's why I read that it had something to do with toes. Perhaps removal of toes. Anyway, let me don't go there. I don't know. I'm going to keep it clean. So if any of you all know, I'm just saying what I read. I saw something about toes, but I don't know. Maybe you all saw it too. Right. Forget this, please.
Doubles and coffee. I just had a lot of Express newspaper say, well done, Stuart Small Premium. You negotiated dry gas. We could share the profits. This is great news in dark times. What exactly the sign? What money they could pay? What cash? How they paying? What they paying for? How they reimbursing Venezuela the billion US they spend on pipeline? The USA waiver that is nearly up, a few more months, does not allow any cash payments. What we gonna do? Pay Maduro with pothole, with flood? What we gonna do? Pay them with criminal gang members with gun, an illegal gun? What exactly we sign that is so exciting that an Express editorial would give kudos for Stuart Small Binion for all the work he has done to sign what with Venezuela? Look, hey, they have gas underneath there. When the US levy and organize, and if we get money, and if we have money, and if we get US, and if they allow us to pay, and if we could get the cash out, and if we could give you a check, and if we negotiate to pay you back for whatever you invested, and if the sanctions ease, and if democracy returns, and if all of that happens, that we could share in the profits that will eventually come 5 years down the line, and the Express write an editorial to tell the PNM, well done, you're doing something good. That is grasping at straws, digging down to the bottom of the barrel. Is it nice that we could possibly in the future get access to gas? Yes, if we could get access to gas with Guyana, would be great. Suriname would be great. Venezuela would be great. To find oil and gas in our own deep water blocks would be great, like what Kevin Ramnarine did. Great negotiation, great tax incentive, great bid rounds, which nothing has happened under this PNM. But the Express find a fantasy to try and big up in their imagination the PNM. I'm asking the Express, what exactly they say? How the payments going to be made? The US authorized US, pounds, TT, Bolivares, what they did, what they signed, where it going, how you could share in profits that are non-existent. The last time I checked SCA, 0 divided by 0 equals 0. So express exactly what editorial you're complimenting small print for. Let me know that, because the dragon cannot dance, because the USA say you could pay Maduro. Maduro want money. What they sign? And they didn't sign that, and it's not 30 years that we agreeing and negotiating and saying, hey, part piece of that is we own, let's work together, let's collaborate. You Express commending the PNM for collaborating on what already had been collaborated on before. Brilliant. Please let me know that, because I'm missing something. Because we want to celebrate. We need money. We need foreign exchange. We need investment. The energy sector has collapsed by the same Stuart Smallpin from 20 negotiation. Oil research is down from 74% under Canada 2014 capacity down to 80%. NGC made a loss for the first time in 2021, 22, 23. They now make a little profit. NGC doesn't have gas. Nikwan shutting down. Everybody is moving. No foreign direct investment. People rushing to Guyana and Suriname, and not to Trinidad and Tobago, but somehow the Express went digging in a quagmire of feces to find something to say small pain do good. What he did good, how we pay, where we pay, who we pay, what we sign, how much it is, where we pay, how much we reimbursing Venezuela for money sunk and invested already in any form of pipeline. What's the deal? What we celebrating? When we'll get revenue? How much the profit share is? Nothing. But oh, small pay deserves kudos. Just like all your Republic PNM awards. Why didn't it host that?
You know, I just love to hear him quote figures. He's so bright. Yeah? He's so bright. Who's this calling me? Come on. Yeah. He's so bright. All these things. The dragon can't dance because they can't pay. Did the US say you could pay in US Bolivares? Yes. Anil, the US has said so. They say that now, right? When he did this was before Stuart Chung had his press conference. You ask all them questions. How they paying? Answer the question on, was it Tuesday? You think he would have done a live, a doubles and coffee? Yeah, to say, well, the questions have been answered. Good. Because you hear him say, if we could get gas from Guyana, and if we could get gas from Suriname and Venezuela, that is great. Well, you said if we could get it from Venezuela, it is great. Right. The questions you ask, you say the dragon can't dance because we can't pay in cash. How we pay, you know, the answer, you got your answers. You know what, the next day, rather than he do a live, say, what PNM do in 8 years? And name one thing, one initiative that the PNM has undertaken in the last 8 years that is innovative, without, that was original and so on. Not one word about Stuart Chung press conference. You had plenty to say about the Express editorial. Yeah? Plenty to say, to criticize. To basically say all this thing was Stuart Chung and them talking about Venezuela and gas and so on is just pie in the sky. Because the US say we can't pay with cash and therefore the deal is dead. So don't listen to nothing they say and all this thing they're trying to full up all your head with stupidness and telling them about this gas deal ain't going nowhere. Because if that main issue, if you can't pay in cash and Maduro want cash, you hear him say, Maduro want cash, nothing else. All that old talky talk there. And these are the people who telling you, put us back in office. We care about Trinidad and Tobago. We are the government in waiting, the alternative government, and cannot say one thing positive about this development. I read for you the headline, Case of Life for TNT, right? Some of the people who spoke and who were in consensus with this headline, some of them, right, have been critics, strong critics of this government. Strong critics that, under this government, no foreign direct investment and nothing happening in the energy sector and all of that. He talked about Kevin Ramnarayan and the exploration and so on, and whatever oil Kevin Ramnarayan find. I wonder if he's referencing, you all remember that press conference that was held under them by Khaled Hassan Ali, Lizzie Gillett, I think it was on camera, when they told us they find 48 million barrels of sweet crude. I think it was the Soldado field or something. So, and they come with this glass container. Look, sweet crude. It's so sweet we could almost drink it. Smell that. 48 million barrels. Wait, where the 48 million barrels? They had big press conference to announce that. How many barrels? We get 48 barrels. We get 480, 4,000. 4,800, they tell us 48 million barrels. And yet still when they left office, as Coleman would have told us during the debate, in the wind-up of the debate, Petrotrin was losing millions of dollars. Petrotrin wasn't paying the taxes. They were owing the government taxes. They were collecting taxes from other entities, the lease farmers and so on, lease out people like A.V. Julian and whoever, to remit to the government. And Petrotrin was keeping the tax money that they were collecting from these companies. And when we were going through pressure on oil and the price of oil had fallen to $25, Mr. Ember told us when we reached out to Petrotrin to ask them for the money, Petrotrin said, we can't pay. We can't pay. The money that we have to pay all in taxes, we're using it for operations. But they want to come and tell you, yes, Petrochun was making so much money, and Petrochun was a cash cow, and how much foreign exchange Petrochun was bringing into the country. But the foreign exchange that they were bringing in was going back out. We heard from Stuart Young that they took loans, $400 million plus in loans to buy oil. Petrochun didn't have the money to buy it, so the government had to now guarantee loans to the tune of hundreds of millions of US dollars to buy oil to come into the country for the refinery to for them to process at the refinery. They wasn't telling us that between 2010 to 2015. No, these same people who telling you Petrochun, they didn't talk about that. Not one of them has come out to say Stuart Young lied. Not one of them has come out to say Ember lied. That Petrochun was borrowing money. The government was borrowing money at high interest rates to purchase crude. To be able, as US dollars they had to borrow, to be able to buy oil to come into the country because our local production was not sufficient to satisfy the throughput levels for the refinery. So we had to be bringing 100,000 barrels every day and be borrowing money for that. Not one of them, not Kevin Ramnarine, not Karen, not David Lee, the Doglaya, the pussycat from Oropuch, not one of them has come out to say that is a lie. And in the absence of that, what does that tell us? It's just like up to now, it's been a whole week since Camille Robinson Regis told us about the $789 million worth of houses that cannot be found. To this date, a whole week, not the former Minister of Housing, Munilal, not a press conference, not a press release, nothing to speak to that. The Doglaya ain't talking about that at all. No matter how many times I engage him, every time he put out a live, I go into the comments and I say, tell us about the $789 million worth of houses that we can't find. No commentary on that. Not one word. I know what I find interesting too. Normally, the supporters, his supporters, would quick to attack anytime you challenge anything. They have nothing to say. They're not challenging the comments at all, because they know if they only challenge that, they open up a can of worms, so they're quiet. They don't want to engage that at all, to develop any type of discussion to highlight the hypocrisy. So they ain't talking a whole week. But if it had been on the other side and the PNM was accused of that, every single newspaper editorial would have talked about that already. We would have heard about that. And they call it on the minister to make a response on the prime minister, and this cannot be left out. All of that we would have heard. All them talk shows, that would have been the topic for the whole week. Every day, every one of them would have been talking about that. Stefan Rees, I don't know if you talk about it, but that would have been a big topic for him. Probably find somebody to interview. He might have done an interview with Munilal or someone of them to find out, well, you were the former minister, what are your thoughts on this and all of that? Yeah? The Doglaya, oh yes, we would have a whole live. Normally his doubles and coffee live will be for between 7 to 10 minutes. He might have given us a whole half an hour to give us an exegesis on that. But nothing, he has nothing to say on that, not one word of commentary, but always criticizing the government, right? So in the face of Stuart Young bringing this good news to the country, finally, we see in the light at the end of the tunnel with this dragon gas deal. The only thing he could come the next day and do a live on is to talk about what Rowley and the PNM do in 8 years. I challenge earlier, name one thing that they do, innovative, one brand new idea to help the country. That's all. Jayanti Lakshmidiyal, yeah? Positive news from Stuart Young. This is thing to benefit the country. Or let's say the energy sector in this country dead. Or let's say Atlantic LNG. No talk about the fact that the government has renegotiated the contract, well, the arrangement with Atlantic LNG, such that under the new arrangement, it benefits Trinidad and Tobago because under the old arrangement, Trinidad owned 10% of Train 1, which is now shut down. And the other 3 trains, we were just getting, I think, taxes, royalties, and so on. Under the newly negotiated contracts and whatever, we are going to have shareholding in each of the other trains, right? A 10% shareholding. So our situation has improved. So instead of only getting taxes and royalties, we also will be getting profits attributable to our 10% shareholding. They ain't talking about that. The Doglaya ain't gonna do a live on that. No. David Lee had nothing to say about that. They wouldn't call a Sunday morning press conference to say, well done, Keith Rowley and Stuart Young. No, what they want to tell you, what they know about oil and gas, and what they know about negotiating. Yeah, they have the minions to call that station every evening and talk like you're bright, and you know what's going on. And Stuart Young and Rowley, they went to negotiate, and they negotiate, and whoever it is they negotiate, and all kind of choppy talk. But these things, where's the editorial on that? Where's the editorial praising the government and for this latest round of negotiations with respect to Atlantic LNG? You all saw any? Where the front page headlines? Where's the front page headlines to let the country know? Because we have the Headline Readers Association in Trinidad. They don't buy newspapers to open, so they don't go past the first page, right? They just pass and they peep and they see the headline. That's what they do. And even when it's posted on social media, they read the headline and jump into the comments. They don't bother to click to read the intimate details of the post. They don't do that. So where are the headlines to inform the Headline Readers Association? You ain't seeing that. But somebody get killed. Oh yes, front page. Somebody get kidnapped. Oh yes, front page. Home invasion, front page. Positive news. Can't publish that. Right? So all of his questions that he just talked about, they have been answered. Answered. You want to know what paying for? Right. Negotiations continue apace. In fact, further good news that the original license, which was for 2 years, we now got an extension to the 31st of October 2025. You know what that means? The fresh 2 years are even started. So it's from the 31st of October, 31st of this month, to the 31st of October 2025. So it's like we get a 9 or 10 month blind, in which a significant portion of the heavy lifting has already taken place in that first 9 to 10 months. So we get a lany up, we get a little gravy, as they call it. So the US continues to work with Trinidad and Tobago to make this thing happen. The only thing that could possibly put a spoke in the wheel is, if God forbid, that orange-faced gold-haired buffoon were to come back as president in 2024, right? Which I don't see happening, because his legal troubles continue to mount on a daily basis, and that party, which he leads, I don't know, they're in a mess. Imagine the great democracy that is the United States doesn't have a speaker, and has been without a speaker for 2 weeks, and can't elect a new speaker. Yeah? Because the man who is now the front runner and who has been trying for the last few days to be elected speaker is a MAGA supporter, a Make America Great Again supporter, right? And he was one of those who was advocating for the former Vice President, Mike Pence, to overturn the election results in favor of Donald Trump. And this is the man who is leading in the race to be the next Speaker of the United States. What does that say? But they love to say Trinidad is not a real place. They like to cuss out our Westminster system of doing things. Yet backward, it's archaic, it's colonial. But at least we have a speaker, and the system by which our speaker is appointed seems to be better than what currently obtains over there, because they don't have a speaker. Right? They have a speaker pro tem whose powers are limited in terms of what he could do. And so the man who is now the front runner, who was elected to lead the parliamentary caucus, is proposing giving additional powers to this individual for the next few months, because clearly he realized he ain't going to be appointed speaker or elected speaker. And in a few days' time, they will again be facing a possible government shutdown in the US if it is that certain budget, if they don't pass a budget or a spending bill to be able to keep the government open. So they had that problem a couple of weeks ago. They were able to come to a 45-day reprieve. That 45 days is almost up, and then we're going to be hearing again in a week or so, a week or two. We're right back where we are. Possible government shutdown. Government workers will not get paid. Pensioners may not receive their pension benefits. So it'd be trouble for persons to get simple things like ID card, passports, all of these different things. Basic, normal, everyday transactions would grind to a halt. Public servants, all the army and all these people will not get paid. This is the great US is now facing this. We must also say thank you to the efforts of US Ambassador Candice Bond, who I understand has been instrumental in working with Stuart Young and Dr. Rowley in the advancement of this Dragon Gas deal. Yeah, we have to have, they played a role too, right? So, contrary to what we're hearing from the other side. But if they really love Trinidad and Tobago, as they say they do, and they have all the answers and the solutions to fix the problems in Trinidad and Tobago, then you all should be able, as citizens first, forget your political hat. Take it off for a moment. Put on citizens' hats. You are a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago first. And if the government is doing something that could benefit the country, that is positive, how difficult is it for you to say congratulations? Well done. But how surely you so and so, right? You could say it. Well done. All right, we'll give all of that. While you do something good. In the 8 years all you've been there, finally all you do something good. If you want to put it that way, go ahead and say that. Even that they can't do. Even that they cannot do. Find ways to pour cold water on it. Because they couldn't do it. The great Kevin Ramnarayan couldn't do it. In the time that he was there. Stuart Young, small pin, was able to accomplish it and continues. And who knows what other opportunities. So we focusing on Dragon now, but there's also the Lauren Manatee field. And who knows what other opportunities may present itself, because other people who are coming into Venezuela looking to sign contracts and so on and engaging in negotiations. It has nothing to do with Dragon, and it has nothing to do with Lauren Manatee. Right? So it means that there are other opportunities in Venezuela to exploit the oil and gas. So this may very well just be the beginning. And if they play their cards right. But you see, they wouldn't talk about the fact that their political leader supported Juan Guaido, who seems to have vanished in the wind. When was the last time you heard the name Juan Guaido? The man that she said her party was supporting as president of Venezuela. Why? Because that is who Donald Trump recognized. And we want to curry favor with Donald. Right? We want Donald to pat the UNC on the back. Where is Donald today? Donald is facing criminal charges. He's facing fraud charges. He's facing the possibility that his brand in New York would be wiped off the face of the map. That all of these big buildings with the name Trump on it, that Trump will come down, all of his associations, all of these different things, his brand is tainted. But that is who. You see, it's no wonder they wanted to support when it is that Dr. Rowley stood up against Trump. Right? With respect to the government's position on Guaido. And the UNC said, you hear them? What Trump could do we? And what Trump could do we? And she come and tell us all the things Trump could do. Over 200,000 citizens in Trinidad and Tobago have US visas, and they stand to lose these visas. And the Caribbean-based initiative, when it comes back up for renewal and so on, and they could blacklist us and all the things. She couldn't think of nothing positive. Right? Yellow belly coward that she was. Willing to bend down and kiss Trump's foot. Like she did in India. Yes, so great Trump. Yes, Master Trump. Dr. Ali said, yeah, that good for you. Trinidad and Tobago is a sovereign nation. And notwithstanding the fact that we do a lot of trade with the US, I am standing, your little about stand your ground. Well, Dr. Rowley was standing his ground a long time. And he stood his ground with Joseph Mondelo. He stood his ground with Donald Trump. Right? When you are capitulated like the yellow belly cowards that you are, Keith Rowley stood his ground and said, this is my government's position. And we not negotiated. Whoever picks up the phone in Miraflores, when I call, that is who I recognize as president. And until the man answering the phone is Juan Guaido, I recognize Nicolas Maduro as president. Today, we are reaping the benefits because Keith Rowley stood his ground. He stood his ground. Even before she started to talk, stand your ground, Keith Rowley was standing his ground. He stood his ground, and today Trinidad and Tobago it benefits. But if he had taken their position and say, well, yeah, what Trump could do, we boy, let me support Guaido. You know what? Some other country, maybe Russia, somebody else, would have been negotiating Dragon, would have been negotiating Lauren Manatee to the expense of Trinidad and Tobago. But again, the wisdom and foresight of Keith Rowley. They say vision. Foresight is what is that? Hindsight is 20/20 vision. But we know that the leadership of that party is suffering from cataract and glaucoma when it comes to leadership. Yeah? Poor decisions. Poor decisions. Thank goodness she was not prime minister when that whole debacle was taking place with respect to Guaido and Maduro and so on. Today, the US is now seeking to lift sanctions or to ease sanctions on Venezuela. Today, the US is praising negotiations taking place in Barbados between the opposition and the government in Venezuela for free and fair elections come next year. And the US is assisting in any way that they can. Today, right? And Keith Rowley could rock back in Whitehall and smile. And we could say to him, well done. Well done, Prime Minister, for having foresight. Well done for not being a yellow-bellied coward. Well done for recognizing that notwithstanding our geographical size, and notwithstanding the size of our population, that while we may be considered a small country and a small player, right, we could stand toe-to-toe with the biggest of them, and we have done that. Rather than comment on that, Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal yesterday posted, so the Prime Minister is in Canada. They have some CARICOM Canada summit taking place. And at the end of the summit ended yesterday. There was a joint press conference that the Canadian Prime Minister held with Dr. Rowley and President of Guyana. And Dr. Rowley is he's casually dressed. He's wearing a t-shirt and a sweater. The Canadian Prime Minister is wearing a suit. Okay. Jayanti puts up a picture with Dr. Rowley standing next to Justin Trudeau at the press conference with the caption, "I hope he lost his luggage." I hope he lost his luggage, right? Because she have a problem with what Dr. Rowley is wearing. These are the same people who want to tell the government, you all need to relax the dress code rules with respect to the public service. Yeah? Instead of having people come in, decently dressed, you need to relax that. So if a man wants to come in a white beater, a 3/4 pants below his bottom, and he barefoot, because you just need to run into BIR to pay something or to get some form or something, and he pull up his van on Ajax Street and he leave the van running and he just running inside, yeah? And he's smelling like a ram goat, that's okay. Let him run inside, that's all right. No basic standards. Yeah? So where you want. If you want to come inside the people place with pom-pom shorts and what do you call it? Forget the top. Yeah? And your sandals, and you're wearing your pom-pom shorts and nothing is left to the imagination, that's all right. You just run inside. It's okay. But you have a problem with what the Prime Minister wears. No comment on what Stuart Young said. No comment on the missing $189 million worth of houses. No comment on that. She post up nothing on that. But you find to post up a picture with what the Prime Minister wears. But what was worse than that, as was to be expected, is the comments coming from their supporters. So she was aided and abetted. Let me just give all this someone. Let me just quickly give all this someone. Right. Now see like the delete some. Yeah, so she says, no, there's UNC Kabbalah. I'm looking for Jayanti. Come on 1 second. Here we go. Please tell me his luggage got lost. Senator Jayanti R. Lakshmi Dayal. 64 comments. Well, when last I checked, it was 19. Hear them. A total disgrace of a Prime Minister. The man dressing just as he does speak. He looking like he from the bottom of Mukarapo Street. Well, we don't see that he go in Canada to beg. So he just acting and looking the part. This is Mesh Buru Singh. Another one says, well, somebody named Joyda Love says, Mesh Buru Singh, yes, he went Canada to beg Justin to give all your visa so you would not have to go tell lies on TNT to get one. All right. Another one says, nah, he went to beg, so he has to look the part. Another one, Randy says, man, totally shameless. Yes, what a disgrace to TNT. Bernadette says, more than his luggage, his brains too. Keisha says, this man is total embarrassing to this country. Everywhere he go, he begging for help. If he can't run the country, call election and get out the way. Indra says, we don't want him here. Parbati says, what an embarrassment this man is. Winston says, the third world compared to first world. Very bad combo displayed. Ian says, he's pushing for donation. Diane Sipasad says, loss of luggage and or loss of direction. Ryan says, if buy my outfit from Ratans was a person. Jairaj says, yes, both his luggage and his brain, he feels he's somewhere in the beatum. I want to tell Jairaj, right? Since he feels he's somewhere in the beatum, I want you to go and pull up or go on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok and look for Young Brother. That's his name, Young Brother. He's from the beatum, from Silots, Jairaj. And see where Young Brother, who dresses like that, where he has been in the last month or so, Jairaj. Places where you've probably never been. To Paris, to London, you name it. You're all over the place. Yeah? just bought a brand new car, and so on. And while you here griping, right? I'm talking about he feels he's somewhere in the Betham. Yeah, but there are people in the Betham, Jairaj, who wearing that and making plenty more money than you. And have been to places that you probably never have been. And the only time the closest you will get to these places is on National Geographic or Curiosity TV, Jairaj. Yeah? Right. Let me see who else it have here. Abraham Mohammed says, from what I'm seeing is that he's just taking things from his bucket list. Fuzz Joseph says, please tell me he's not coming back. Rodney Babwa says, please keep him there. Arnold says, wasn't there a store some time ago about his $1,000 Italian suits? Margaret says, how Canada PM could stand next to that evil man, going all over begging and thieving out the taxpayers' money. Let him go Ghana where his ancestors came from. He spends such much money on his king from Ghana. Another one says his mind got lost. He speaks gibberish and looks dotish. All right. Now, I wouldn't read that one. I wouldn't read that one either. Danny Ram says, run that Gadaha from Canada. Well, I think I've read enough. I wouldn't read anymore, right? But when Senator Jayanti Lakshmi, one of two lawyers who is responsible for murder being a bailable offense in Trinidad and Tobago after not being so for over 100 years, feels the need to put up a post of a picture of the Prime Minister casually dressed. I wonder if they ever saw the president of the Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, who has been all over the place with respect to this war between Russia and Ukraine. If they see how he dresses when he met with Joe Biden, right? When there was a summit, I can't remember, somewhere in Europe that he attended. And he was casually dressed in a sweater. Yeah, he just had on a sweater and those khaki tactical pants and so on. He wasn't dressed in a suit and tie. There is the current senator for Pennsylvania in the US Senate. I can't remember his name. His name slips me at the moment. You all ever saw how he dresses when he goes to the Senate? He wears his big shoe. He has a shoe, normal shoe, the short sleeve shoe, pants and sneakers. You know, and of course, the Republicans have an issue with the way that he dresses. He say, I really couldn't care, you know. I really couldn't care. I wear what I'm comfortable with. Yeah? So he is a senator, US senator. Check it out. I can't remember his name right now. Pennsylvania senator. Dress code. You could just Google that and I'm sure you will see all the stories come up about the way that he dresses. He put on the same thing, he put on a hoodie. He's going to the Senate. Senate is in session and he wearing a hoodie. Yeah, and he going there easy. These same people, you feel they will have an issue with that? I wonder. But all kind of names they call him Dr. Rowley. The same man who has been working diligently, who has accomplished far more than Kamala Prasad has ever accomplished. Contrary to what they will tell you. Oh, she do so much in 5 years. What did she do? What did she do? Where is she? She so cares about the country, the prime minister in waiting, the alternative prime minister, but couldn't even show up in the budget debate. She showed up once to give her response, and after that, she disappeared. And I hear people say, well, you know, it's Halloween. We're in October. So this is her time. I don't know, as people say that earlier. I didn't say that. I just don't know what I read. People say, this is her month. It's Halloween. Right. So peep out your window around midnight. I didn't say that. Let me say good morning to my friend Eric. Yeah. Yes, if you see a ball of fire in the night. But I didn't say that. Not me. I just telling only what I read. So they say if you only understand why you're not seeing the lady. If you want to see her, don't look in the Senate, look in the night sky. Okay. Not something in the Senate. Don't look in the Parliament, look in the night sky. Right. Just see something like a broom. Anyway, y'all, I just said, Sarah says I had an old corn broom. and she really did sing it. One more thing I wanted to touch on. So within recent times, the police have they've been some discoveries by the police. Yeah, there have been some discoveries by the police of some major arms and ammunition. In fact, on 2 occasions within the last week or so, or the last 2 weeks, they found significant guns and ammunition and the like. Contraband is police, what appears to be police wear, police uniform, bulletproof vests, and all of these different things, right? And there has been some back and forth on social media between certain social media activists and Superintendent Alexander, who is the host of what's that program, Beyond the Tape. And persons are speculating that it may have been planted or is a hoax by the police, that the police just pull these weapons and ammunition out from wherever and lay it out and say, we found this, in an attempt to fool the population into believing that they're actually working or whatever it is. My position on this is, right, even if that is the case, and I'm not saying that it is, I don't believe that it is. I think it was genuine. I think we have a situation where there may be finally citizens in this country who are tired of the level of crime, the murders and so on, and who have decided, look, I have information, I'm going to give it to the police. In whatever way, whether they went through Crime Stoppers so they could get paid for the information or whatever, or if it is they tip off whoever, however they did it. Persons are speculating because no one is being arrested, but the police making these fines. My position is, even if on the off chance that is what happened, that it was a hoax, that the police orchestrated this whole thing, so it means the commissioner, senior police officers, junior police officers are all part of this grand conspiracy to fool the population. So so apparently in all of this, of all the police officers that we saw sitting in this room with all of these guns and so on and ammunition and whatnot, none of them support the opposition party to come and say, hey, you see that was orchestrated and I fake, don't bother with them. So I guess all the police officers who are part of this plot are PNM. It had to be, because if it had a supporter of the opposition party in there, they would obviously leak because they don't want the government to look good. I haven't heard of any leak or seen any leak. Nobody sent nothing. None of Gary's whistleblowers sent anything to say, hey, Gary, that is, look, he ain't get nothing yet. Interestingly, with these fines, he has not commented. I have been to his Facebook page. I have not seen one word from Gary with respect to those fines. To say, well done, congratulations to the TTPS or whatever. Nothing. Because what that has done is boosted public confidence in the police, something that he has always beaten his chest about. To say, well, under him, when he came in, public confidence in the police was at 14%, but now but when he left office, it was at 55%. And it was because of things like that would have boosted public confidence to say, hey, Gary working. So now, things that would have happened under him are happening under Earl Christopher. This, I think they say, one of these was the largest fines in the history of the TTPS. Which is not good for Gary because it means that didn't happen under him. So that is one less record that he could boast about. So I'm not surprised that he made no commentary on his Facebook page to congratulate the TTPS as a former commissioner of police, to congratulate, because remember when he was commissioner, everything was my men, and when my men do this and I support my men. It's the same men and women that you left there, Gary, who working still. Same men and women. So because you're no longer commissioner, you would no longer congratulate them, but you wanted to get back the post of commissioner and probably still do. But you could only congratulate them when you are the commissioner. But when somebody else is at the helm and they're achieving, all the time you're quick to criticize, but you're not going to congratulate. But he jumped out himself, and I think with respect to the traffic that took place in Port of Spain a couple of days ago with the rains, I didn't hear the Prime Minister, but based on what I'm reading, I'm thinking that there was some blame laid on the police service for the lack of deployment of officers to direct traffic. Gary Gifford jumped out himself to say, Gary Gifford jumps out himself to say, don't blame the police, that this is the fault of the government. Yeah, it's the fault of the government that you had all of this traffic. So when we had the day of policing under them, where citizens had to suffer through roadblocks after roadblocks all over the country that resulted in gridlock all over the country. Under them, you all remember the day of total policing, Who was to blame for that? The government, of which he was a part. I think he was Minister of National Security at the time. So you taking blame for the day of total policing, Gary? I just asking, yardstick. Yardstick if you're saying the government is to blame for that, because apparently the Prime Minister or the Minister of National Security should have picked up the phone and call every police officer and tell them go out and direct traffic. That's what they should have done. Call the police division and give instructions to whoever is the head of the division. Send out the officers, deploy them. That's the minister work. Interestingly though, with all of these fines, when you read the comments on social media, persons are praising the TTPS, not Gary, not the UNC, not Kamla, not Munilal, not anybody on that side. Ordinary citizens are praising the police, saying, well done, good job, keep it up, we want to see more of this, this is what we wanted to see all of the time. So the more these things happen, citizens will say, the police working, man, yeah, that's what we want to see. Every time they see a story come up, police foil robbery, police apprehend criminals, all of these different things. People happy, they're glad to see these things happening. Confidence in the police service going up. So no longer could Gary attack to say, well, under me, confidence in the TTPS was this and now is this. So, with all of that, when I read these comments, you know what I'm not seeing in the comments? Well done, Fitzgerald Hines. Congratulations, Fitzgerald Hines. Good job, Fitzgerald Hines. Nobody praising the minister. When the police do their work, and they do it to the level that the population expects, and we get these good results, everybody recognizes the police doing their work. The police doing the job for which they are paid for. No interventions from the Minister of National Security. He didn't have to tell them to do their work, they're doing their work. Right? So they're praising the TTPS. No kudos for the minister, no kudos for the Prime Minister, no kudos for the government. But the minute the police not doing their work, the minute you're not seeing ammunition and guns being found, the minute you're not reading stories about the police foil robbery, the minute you're not reading stories about police apprehend killers or they apprehend bandits, one dead, one in serious condition. The minute they're not seeing that, Hines must go. Hines must go. Hines is the worst Minister of National Security. Hines is a failure. Hines this, Hines that. My position is, if it is when they're doing their work and you all see results that you like, give the minister kudos, because apparently for the police to do their work, the minister had to intervene. The minister must have some level of input. So don't only congratulate the police when you see they're doing good things and things that is praiseworthy. Praise the minister too, because when all they want to blame him when the police not performing and he must go and he's the worst minister when you're not seeing the results, then when you're seeing the results, praise the minister too. It can't be one-sided, because you can't be blaming him when the police not doing their work, and when they're doing their work, you're not including him in the praises. Something wrong with all here. Something very wrong with all here, right? But we know what your agenda is. But Mr. Hines, you continue to do your work. You continue to trot on. Don't bother with them. You know what you're doing, right? They very well know what the job of the police is. And all of these things that the police have the resources. So when I hear Munilal come in the parliament to talk about Kamla Prasad Bisesa, he wants to tell the police, Kamla has your back. And the UNC has your back, and we stand with you. And we will give you the resources and the regulatory framework and all that. Miss me with that BS now, Munilal. Miss me with that, right? Because you all have not come out to praise the police for any of the things that they do. Subsequent to you giving the police the assurance that you have their back. Up to now, you have not published the story where they found, because you're putting all kind of things on your Facebook page. But you ain't published that story on your Facebook page. You only put out no press release praising the police. You ain't call a press conference to praise the police, but you have their back. Don't worry, the UNC have your back. And when we come back in office, we will give all you need. But now, when you're in opposition, you can't congratulate them for a job well done. You will reserve your congratulations until you all hope you get back into office so you could take the praises and say, well, you see, under us, the police service working. Well, they're working now. Where are you? Where your political leader? Where is your shadow Minister of National Security? Where your shadow cabinet? No congratulations, right? Bunch of jokers. Look. Anyway, folks, it told me I'm open lens because I had my class this morning. As I told you, I teach. So I had to go and prepare. Well, I'm prepared, but let's put this on here, 770. Yes, no. Well, one sec there, Jen. Let me just connect this thing. Right. Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
To all those who are locked in and tuning into success and things. With regards to Anna Roberts, I give him my personal opinion based on the things I've been seeing his behavior.
Yes.
I say he's a drunk, right? And when you are drunk, you talk all kind of things. And sometimes when you get out your stupor, you remember the things you say. But it is very instructive that you're not hearing any comments on this, the gun find that the police are getting on. They're very correct. When in people's mind, the police are doing the work, they blame the Minister of National Security and the government. But when the police is doing the work in their mind, all is to the police. And I think we in this country suffer from something called cognitive dissonance. We say one thing and we follow this one, but then they come back and say something totally different. We have never seen so much excitement before in the energy sector. Not under Kevin Ramnarai, not under Carolyn Prasad with Bichan, and we never seen that. Minister Young has brought a new vibrancy to the energy sector where everybody wants to hear. Not only that, it's dedication and commitment to staying fast, staying focused to do what is needed to get these deals come true. Is remarkable. And again, with the leadership of Dr. K. Christopher Rowley, again, I keep saying he's a scientist, and scientists think totally different. They're not just whims and fancy and if and then. They deal with empirical evidence. They deal with data. And because of his training, I think, and he's not a lawyer, I think you've seen a different style of leadership that deals with calm, that deals with critical thinking. And we've seen that filter along to all the ministers and the Minister Camille Roberts-Regis, the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Education. We've seen it filtered in all those areas, and that has to do with leadership. I want to thank this government for keeping us on the right course. I see another rating agency give us a good rating with our credit. So we have Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and we have this new one. I can't remember the name right now.
Carrie Chris.
Right, that says a lot. Are we going to gamble? Because we heard one of their own say they were thieving money as though they invented the money. Yes. We know about OS, we know about the Peter Wastewater Project, we know about all the deals that they made that wasn't in the favor of the government and the country. We see that this government had to go back and renegotiate deals. Mr. Young said they got $6 billion back in 2019 based on the renegotiated contracts, because Kamala and them negotiated that these oil companies could drill if they get empty field, they had to pay if they get oil, they had to pay until 2024. You see all this activity we saw during COVID-19. People doesn't want to remember that. All public officers, those who were not emergency workers, were at home and getting a salary every month. You could have saved the passage that they used to travel to work. You could have saved the gas that used to travel to work. Because back then, all we're doing is buying food to eat and watching TV, and back home you couldn't go anywhere. And almost for 2 years you're being paid. Not a single public officer lost their job. We had food basket given out, we had food, we had grants, we had all during COVID-19. In some countries that the government was supporting it during COVID-19, you now have to pay back those money. You don't have to pay back in this country. And people are going to tell me after you hear Abdullah, who was there, say that she's a corrupt. After you hear Roger say she doesn't lie. After you hear Makanda Daga say the thief, and we see the evidence of the thievery that happened under 2010 to 15 under Kamala Prasad. We heard of so much of our ministers involved in corruption and criminal activity. We hear about the fuel and well oil criminal enterprise. You're hearing about meeting in the Hyatt. All these things you're all going to listen to and then go to the polls in 2025 and give back eventually your vote. Well, you know what? If we do those things, some of you want to do that, then you all love abuse, you all love bad treatment, and you all have an issue with self. That you all can think logically to say no. This ain't adding up. 5 years at the UNC and all these things happen. And under this government now we are seeing all these things happening. Dragon deal is on. We see all the advancement. The world is watching on. And we're raising up this country. Are we going to say no to the PNM? Something had to be wrong with you. But again, I say thank you, Minister Young. Thank you, Dr. K. Christopher Rowley, and all the ministers in the PNM administration. This one for the hard work and dedication to service. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you, Jen. Here. Hello, good morning. Morning, sir.
Yeah, good program, wonderful contribution from Ms. Jenny. Dominic, I have always said, I just pray for the very first 2 years term to come up and just go and think, because you know why? Trinidad and Tobago are the worst set of ungrateful people in this place, boy. They're very ungrateful. 2 years, we were under lockdown. People were dying out there. The government still finding it in their heart. They give away something when we was under lockdown. Plus, public servants were still getting paid. In other parts of the world, you didn't see that? And people saying pay them and do nothing. That making sense to you, Dominic? What kind of donkey logic is that? The driving gas deals are a very good deal that could help us down the road with our little revenues, earnings, so all could pay more. But no, they ain't talking about that. Let me just tell you what they're talking about now. Last night I was watching the news with pretending we charge. TNT can even bother to TNT can even reach that. We didn't reach that point with TNT plan the thing now. It was recommended from the RIC based on consultation with the people. You know the consultation all over the country, Dominic?
Yes.
People saying I can't understand that at all, but what's going on? So they're distracting us with that. Plus, they're distracting us with the so-called protests now. All of a sudden now you read teachers and professors protesting. And I seen one of them a face who's aligned with a certain political party, a so-called political scientist. She is part of a political organization who is talking in favor of that organization. Maybe she's taking for support to to be the next MP and one of those seats. I don't know. Right? And the same thing too with the so-called finding now. That so-called thing, that is political. You know what some Trinidad something like? They remind me of those so-called right-wing people in the Republican Party who are saying conspiracy theory is a hoax. But you know what? I'm not surprised, because you know why? One day I was going in a barbershop with black men. You know what they was watching? They was watching somebody like Alex. You know Alex Jones is in the United States? A right-wing conspiracy theory with a close supporter of Donald Trump, talking about everything as a hoax, 9/11 as a hoax. Barack Obama don't do nothing for black people, that kind of thing. You understand what I'm saying there?
Yep.
Black people in a barbershop, Dominic, watching right-wing TV shows with Alex Jones. No, tell me, what kind of logic is that? That making sense to you?
Not at all.
So there was other Republicans in this country. You, Davey, and they have a real hard, And I want to suggest something to you. Seeing that Synergy TV and Korea yet, because I sentenced certain people in that area, in that thing, not Korea, but because apparently it made an impact in the local government election, which a program. It's better go to another radio station and set up a shop, because I sense that they ain't calling you back. They have an excuse, they ain't treated because they take a vacation and all of a sudden they're not calling you back to renew your program.
Right.
Something already there, Dominic. Something already there. Paul. Boy, Dominic, you have that thing. You have to continue educating us, but I don't know. Trinidadians and Tobagonians especially,
yes,
they're very, very ungrateful. They're very, very ungrateful. And God forbid that other side comes to power. Because right now I ain't seen her lady waiting, Right now she not working properly. I wonder who else they going to put up as the UNC leader. I wish them all the best. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
Hello.
Hello, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Good show again, Jenny. Look forward to your contribution. Actually, I'm a fan of Jenny. I like to hear Jenny. concerning the police and them. So the logic of some people is that the police will go in Santa Cruz, and then when from Santa Cruz where vehicles cannot go, they'll walk miles into the forest, hide some guns, and then come back and get it and say, hey, look what we find. That make any logical sense to you? Who go in and walk in a bush and then don't make, I don't know if you think it, but I know about, I had the experience of walking miles in the forested area and thing, and they started trying to get out before it started to get dark. And when you're walking inside there, kind of street corner to tell you this is Bush Street and that is Vine Street. And you get lost very easy in the bush.
Yes.
So the police and them would have get information and got it over a period of time. And based on what I hear Sergeant Alexander saying, so I'm going on with Sergeant Alexander saying. So they're working on the intel all the time. Then they finally decide to execute it. So they had to go up there so that they use things like dogs and those things. So they have an area that they will bring out and search. And the dog will be sniffing out. Eventually they come out, stumble upon it. So they when they find it, you think they're going and wait and say, well, let me leave it there and stick out and to catch the owners?
Yes.
And a matter of fact, Dominic, by the time people see that set of police and them come in the area and start to go in the bush, the people who have interest for those guns and ammunition in that dump, that ammunition dump there. You don't think that whoever in the bush up there then going to make a call and tell them, hey, 5 out. And then first of them start to move and go one time because they will tell them the amount of police in the first thing coming in the village going to cause people's attention to get things. So when the boss get there, find out the thing there, whoever they may have in the bush century anything to make sure that no other bandits come and keep the stash, right? They will get here, police coming, them gone. As a matter of fact, even though if they don't get here and the thing there, they only look out. When they watch it, wait, they're coming there. Because they must have a lookout point. And by the time they see the thing, they gone. And they ain't going back there. When the police stumble upon it, they think, do you expect them to leave it? They'll have to take it and bring it out. But I'm sure, based on the intel for the police and them to know, look, listen, we are going in Santa Cruz instead of going in Marcus and Joseph or some other part of the thing, Las Cuevas, plantation, to look for guns and ammunition. Wherever they get the intel in, they'll have an idea who owns it. But you cannot arrest anybody and charge them until you can do the final work. You have to tie that into that person. Because if the person can afford to have so much guns, they could afford to have a serious lawyer to it, as like a Queen's Counsel.
Yes.
So when I think about that and I compare that to what Fat Boy was saying, and Fat Boy basically speculating, that is one, Fat Boy doesn't understand police work. He has no experience in police work, but he's speculating. He's putting things there for me to think, and when I think it, he just doesn't make any sense. And he was embarrassed, and he felt embarrassed now, and he started off by saying, and he was so taken up with Superintendent Alexander, and he did this and he did that. So I realized he just about personal, and he just wanted to lash back at Senior Alexander and not about the issue of the guns. And what we should be doing, we should be congratulating this police commissioner, because you are also put in the mix too. You know what is really going on? It's unbelievable that police could be doing things like this. We have never in the history of Trinidad and Tobago had something like this, a bus like that, with these kind of guns. It's unprecedented that the police bust down and seize criminal ammunition dumps, because we never even know the criminals had that kind of ammunition hiding in a. They had to call it an ammunition dump because the kind of ammunition they get. On the top, I had to back that up again to go back again because like they didn't finish. So I guess the police, they would have police up there monitoring the scene right through. So they go back again to finish, look again, and they get uniforms. People want to know how to get a uniform. All I have to do is get a tailor, get him a tailor, and I can sew up and make uniforms. You understand? And make it fake.
Yeah.
Bootleg uniforms, and you have it there. But what I want to ask is, it's a lot of things that the police cannot see. Is this part of something to come, another 1990? That is the question we should be asking. But the police and them ain't finished with the thing based on Sergeant Alexander, Senior Super Alexander. you know. But I have to say, well done to this lady. I have heard Gary said that he was going to do better than what she is doing. And Gary failed because the only thing Gary achieved is just there and set a little black boy in them and people clap about that. And everybody feels that is frightened. And he go put fear in the criminals and the criminals and them go stop robbing and they go stop. That is okay for you. Some people feel that. But what if we stifle them the guns and ammunition? What if they don't have access to guns and ammunition? What they go do? What they go do? So hats off to Ms. Commissioner of Police earlier. I hear all kind of things, people saying all kind of things, but it just doesn't make sense. What I just put forward there, this is more factual. That's how police work. And if people want to understand how that work, I remember at that time too that the Americans assisted us with Weedita. They come with a helicopter, you know them kind of helicopter with the two popular, that big one in front and a small one behind. That thing stay in the hill, and I watching that from my standpoint. And I saw American soldiers just sliding down and going down and moving with hundreds of pounds of marijuana coming out of the bush. They cut down fields and the thing there. That's the Americans doing that through the Trinidad and Tobago government. Operation Weedita. I wonder if a lot of people can remember that. Those helicopters and them were just going where in treacherous area we will take plenty manpower and hours and things to get at. The helicopter was able to get there because they have the resources. But with the little resources that this Trinidad and Tobago police has, no fault of them and no fault of the government, they was able to successfully get the guns and take it away from the criminals. But as I said, Intel will point the police to who is responsible. But the police cannot approach the people on them until they have proper evidence that they can put forward to make an arrest and to make a charge and then to the court a conviction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, let me add something here to this. People have to realize too that just a couple of months ago, a few months ago, the government, along with CARICOM, had a crime meeting in this country. Remember that, right? And they signed some agreements. And one of the agreements is to communicate with the United States about the thing with illegal guns. So we don't know. Now, the reason why they probably have no major arrests is because this could be a big sting operation.
Yes.
Remember, Trinidad and Tobago had to collaborate with other CARICOM security agencies in the Caribbean countries and also probably with the this division is to deal with firearms. I think they call it it's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Right. So that could be the reason why we haven't seen no major, because this could all be part of a bigger sting operation to find out who is exporting the guns and ammunition to Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe that's what I think, because as far as I'm concerned, the people who bring in it here, they could be what you call the middlemen, you know.
Yes.
They're probably going after the big fish who is exporting it to Trinidad, you understand? And for those who have custom watching shows like Narcos and stuff like that, you see them take things with the customs and them making drug interdiction, but they never hold people, the big drug lords that are like Pablo Escobar back in the days and that, because remember, they was looking for the connections, right?
Yes.
So I think people have to get rid of this nonsense with this conspiracy theory that who was part of a conspiracy and over Christopher. I mean that is hogwash. That is mad talk. Right? That's like saying COVID-19 is a hoax. And still have some people up to this day saying that COVID-19 is a hoax. Right? So people have to think about it. That is not really Trinidad and Tobago alone dealing with this. We have Interpol. We probably have Scotland Yard. We have the national security agencies in CARICOM. And then we have, well, the United States' own security forces dealing with that as well. All right? You have a good day.
You too, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hey, morning, my brother. How you doing?
Morning, sir.
Well, listen, you raise so much important issues, and then the puerile ones, like that post from the honorable senator.
Yes.
It's hurt me, especially that. And the comments. I saw it too. They have a meme going about and all and thing, but you're going and beg, so you had to look like a vagrant.
Right.
But that is an aside, brother, because like you rightly said, where is the opposition leader after she tried to match the Minister of Finance by 3 hours and 57 minutes last week Monday? Where is she? Where is she? And I've been following the Standing Finance Committee. And it's clear to me, sir, that all they're about is about performing for an audience of one. And frustrating the ministers and campaigning the work. And it's a good thing that when it goes to the Senate, you don't have that drama again with that. You understand what I'm saying? It will be just their side, and I mean, you might get more substantive and insightful debate from the independent bench and quite possibly so from the newer ones. I'm looking forward to seeing how they would start off.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But in terms of dissecting the budget, and like you would have given to us what their financial plans are from their own writings, which is their manifesto. They have nothing, there's 2 men I doubt in my lifetime that I would have quoted. But we could quote directly from Gerald Ramdeen and David Maharaj on how ineffective they are. Yes. Because the PNM says X, the PNM says Y and Z. What is your alternative? What is your ABC to that? To have us as a discerning public and the people who consider themselves independent and sit on the fence waiting for a third force. What is your alternative to what has been presented to the last 8 years in budgets or in a policy going forward to move the country towards modernity, prosperity, and a good standard of living for all? Give us that now. Convince me. I'm a supporter of the PNM, but give me something that say, wait now, boy. I could change my mind. Where is it? And then you have the impending launch of the other political party. And what is the date of the launch, Dom?
November 19th.
Thank you. A date is in for me. A date that I cried like a baby. You understand?
Yes.
After the conclusion of the game. That is the day you want to launch a political party on if you're serious about moving around if you go forward, or the saddest day in our country. Well, at least for me, and I get yourself as a sports loving person. It was a sad day for me. I don't want to remember that day with no launching no party. And you know what I'm saying, Will Mrs. Nunes Teixeira debunk everything that she did as finance minister from 2007 to 2010? Would she say that I was wrong, or what? Or what would I excuse me that I was under the dictates of my political leader and prime minister at the time as a member of cabinet? I had to go along because of collective cabinet responsibility, Dom. These people can't be serious, my brother. The only person who I would give a little credence to on that whole slate is probably Steve Alvarez, because I still read some of his comments and so on, some of his articles.
Right.
And he used to make some sensible points, some good points. Right? It's a pity that a person like him didn't feel fit to share some of those ideas and visions with the PNM.
Yes.
You understand? But other than that, failure, the rest of them, they could say nothing to me to convince me that they have anything better for the country. And particularly those of them who were in the COP and so on, who sat there for 5 years and allowed the thieving and raping and pillaging of the resources of this country. You understand?
Yes.
Don't want to hear them at all. Don't want to hear them at all. And as we go across our fellow countrymen in Tobago, I heard that extra resources will be sourced and co-opted to Tobago for the festivities. Where they're coming from, them? Grenada or Barbados, or is not members straight from the Tobago Police Service going up there? I wonder where they're going to stay, if they're going to lock them out from the Scarborough police station, or the Conk Point, or the Sherman Road police station. You understand?
Yes.
Because I had to stay somewhere. Say we want to lock the licensing office from the licensing officers down here, from the chief, you understand? From the chief and his cohort. Do the same thing to lock them out. We don't want to train that police coming up here. You understand? You shouldn't need help. You should get help from Grenada and other places.
Yes.
Because that's how oppressors down here. We oppressing them all the time. That's what I'm saying, brother.
Yep.
But I am quite sure that once you take the gravity of what Minister Young announced on Monday,
yes,
what we were able to persuade OFAC to allow us to do with Venezuela, and when you see the goings on in Barbados and so on with the signing, I am telling you that because of the leadership of Dr. Rowley when he was the chairman of CARICOM, and now other leaders, the CARICOM has some standing in the world. Even though we might dismiss it, but people are sitting up and taking notice. I heard our position on the conflict in Gaza criticized by the Israeli ambassador. They are free to do. I will always paraphrase the clip of Mr. Mandela when he was asked a question by audience member. I think that was a sitting U.S. representative when he asked him to opine on terrorism in the world and places like Cuba and so on. And Mandela said, your enemies is not my enemies. And one of the people that he singled out for assisting them in the apartheid struggle was who? Yasser Arafat and the PLO. And whilst I have no dog in the fight, because I am saying that that situation has to resolve itself, right? And while unnecessary bloodshed is taking place, we must admit that since 1987 and since the peace that was signed in 1993, it has been a detente just waiting to happen, and a tinderbox waiting to explode. And unfortunately, it has begun. There is no said lives will be lost and so on, but we must never forget that the PLO played a great part in many of the liberation struggles around the world. Whether they were classed as terrorists or not, and it comes from no less a person than Mr. Nelson Mandela. So we had to give them that. I am just saying that our stance on the situation is the correct one. We will remain non-aligned, and we will want to see that humanitarian concerns rise above all else.
Yes.
Over all the sectarian and the ideological differences between the two sides. But humanitarian concerns must lead the way. I am not seeing it happening, and seeing it happening though, and based on the comments of President Biden, which I know has inflamed the ire of the Arab states around and many other people.
Yes.
I am saying that sadly, the world may be into a new wave of terrorism that may expand beyond the current events, what is happening there in the Gaza. I don't want it to happen, but I will urge those of us who have to travel frequently and so on to be mindful of that these things may be happening, and particularly where you have had reports from the FBI, where many of these 7 million people who have crossed the border in the last year are people who are on terror watch lists. So this is my concern, that the conflagration will not just be confined to Gaza, but it could become worldwide with pockets of terrorism happening daily or weekly. Take care, Dom. Great program as usual, and look forward to it in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
You too. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Morning.
Yes, sir, morning.
Good morning to all on Sundries. Good morning to the listeners, the viewers, and the callers. Now, I have an issue when certain people in the opposition, both Senate and the House of Representatives, on Dr. Rowley's attire.
Yes.
Who could distinctly recall when they had meetings that the then Prime Minister, who's now in the States, I believe, trying to get her eyes in a year, that she had a yellow duster with colors and beige slippers, coming to have a round the table discussion with leaders. Me, you know, probably she was still drunk from the night before, and she began to probably shower and put on appropriate clothing. I don't know, I just asking questions. But anyway, I want to say kudos to the Minister of Energy, as well as the Prime Minister, as well as the Minister of Works, and the Minister of Public Utilities. There's a reason why I'm calling out these four ministers, because they are working diligently, relentlessly, and hard-working. Right? Dr. Rowley would have openly last week started with the amount of critics that these nasty people have to say. Always cameras, they did cameras, started this, that, blah, blah, blah. But where they wanted to run the highway was through wetlands. You see, when people don't know about these things, and they lack the information and the intellectual experience, then they just hear they come out and talk to that Gobar. Understand? Although the project had a long time, thankfully, it was opened under this administration, under this prime minister. The same way they did with Australian man, point important, how they claim it's them bullets. But, you know, you understand?
Yes.
The UNC party today is a total disgrace to this country, and they are opportunists. They have nothing. They don't love this country. They don't see this country going nowhere forward. Every time they talk, every one of them in the position, whether it's Senate or House of Representatives, they have nothing good to say about Trinidad and Tobago. And it is the same country that all they want to come and govern. Let us make it make sense. So you rather sell out the country for a few pennies than have the country going forward in years to come under this administration. No, Dominic, I'm not saying that the PNM party is not a perfect party. It has shortcomings, it has flaws, it has some people in there that play the thing with the four legs and bushy tail. Right? But at the end of the day, when these ministers go out, they are going to seek the interests of the country. Whereas when UNC/PPP/PP/22/ wherever you call them, back then, they were about themselves, their finances, and their friends. And if people want to risk 10 years of success on this administration to give the UNC the opportunity to come back again, sure will take way now, because it have no coming back from 2025, you know. It have none whatsoever. Right? And I have to agree with Darian. Every time the opposition comes, the PNM will come back and clean up all the mess. 1986 under Robinson. We had the coup. We had distraction. So 2010, we hear all, but 2010 was the worst. So people, know what you all doing, because at the end of the day, every time a PNM government is there to make progression in the country and other putting these people, they set the country back. Bad. Look right now, Dominic. Since 2010, that is like almost 14 years of because it's almost done. And they still feeling the effects from since when Kamala and them was there up to this present time. They still feeling because they had the majority in parliament, and before they make laws and amendments and cover the country in the appropriate way, they was not studying that. Because they was studying the thief. That is all they were studying. So they come on both sides and say, well, we had the best oil boom thing, but what you all did in that 5 years, did you all enhance the lifestyle of Trinidadians and Tobagonians, the electorate who put you all there? No. But when Dr. Rowley now trying to make a difference to the people, every quarter in society want to cut him, you know why? Dr. Rowley is one of the best leaders after the late great Dr. Eric Williams and Manning. Chamber star point. You understand? And that's what killing them right now. Everything that took place in this country is under the PNM. Kamala has spent 5 years there. All those institutions, the Red House, President House, the Banana Stadium, Napa, all these projects that Manning left, what was the soul? They left it right there to rot now. And then when Dr. Roy coming now, all of them say, oh, all that money they spend, thing, whatever. UNC, according to Minister, the MP for Professor, they had under no condition to run this country. None. Yeah, so people have to understand. And Gianti, before you talk about people, watch yourself before you talk about people. You understand? Because when I last checked, you did a whole facial, a whole makeover. Right? Show people your true identity now and leave the Prime Minister alone. Talk about social with 7 toes. As you can see properly, because she has too much intake, it's alleged. I don't know how true it is. She left the bottle bad. To me, you know. Right? So guys, remain focused. The government is on track to set this country to a directive path. Right? Do what you do. Stay focused. Don't let them naysayers and them bourgeois and them come and just talk us about propaganda and BS. Forget them. Stay focused with Dr. Rowley, Minister Young, Marvin Gonzalez, Rohan Tenanan. All the good job. Continue doing now. I ain't telling the other ministers, but these 4 are doing exceptionally well. You understand? Dominic and Luxon are listening and good program.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Hello.
Yes, caller, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dominic. I want Diane to know that Dr. Louis is not one of pajama or 90. Right?
Yes.
I think he's a good thing. He's just like a vehicle. Right? He doesn't want a 90, no, a pajama. They're too fast. How about this one? And Johnny, of course, you have a special program for some of your callers from them. Of course, I have a thing.
Thank you. Right, so it'll probably take a couple more. It is 8:40. Yeah, probably have another 5 minutes or so. See here, 770-1763. Helen Ross says Dunce is all about power and the profits that they get. You don't care about anything else. Great is the PNM. See what else we have here. Annette McConney is saying that the Minister of Trade is also working very hard. Yes, she is, I must say. Paula is doing human service in her ministry, especially in terms of promoting exports for Trinidad and Tobago, the promotion of the manufacturing sector, and the like. So kudos to Paula as well. Merle is asking, is that 7 toes thing true? I don't know. Merle, I saw it posted by UNC Cabal, and usually Cabal gets information from the inside of the UNC. So I guess it have to be seen, but it will explain a lot. Jen.
Dominic, I just want to ask, where is the opposition leader? We are here. No. This is a serious thing, because when it's Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, he has scar from his neck, he cough. They said all kind of anything about him. He went to some doctor at time down in the West there. The man come out with all his information. If he travel about to medical, they want to know. And they should want to know, because he's the Prime Minister of this country.
Yes.
But just as important, we want to know the health status of the opposition leader. We are hearing it is alleged she was stereotyped. We hear that she's diabetic. We hear that she does drink rum real bad. What is happening now here? It is alleged it's eye surgery. What is it we need to know? Because it was Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, everybody would have been all up in the business and want to know. So I'm asking again. And before I go, I want to tell all public officers, by now you all should understand what this 4% represents. You all would have gone through the whole thing. It's not enough. We went there, been there, and whatever. But you have opportunity to go back at the table for 2020, 21, and 22, and 23, 24, 25. The country has the money, it has the ability to pay. Is it not the smarter thing for the union to go back to the table for this period? Let loose that one. We don't lose it, because half of the problem is not only the CPO and the Minister of Finance. It has to be PSA also to take blame for where we are, because the Act says that the union, all the ministers and the CPO could initiate collective bargaining process. So if one wants to do it and the next one don't want to do it, they could go to court and get judicial review and interpretation of the laws in the Civil Service Act and Industrial Relations Act. Just like what Mr. Batista is doing now, he's going for judicial review of a law that he does not do it in the Service Act that says the special tribunal can anyone award for them is for 5 years. So he could do that for this. Why he, as the paid consultant of PSA for $16,000 a month since 2014, dealing with negotiation? Why are they saying that the CPO was failing to meet and treat for the purpose of negotiation? Why didn't they do a judicial review, just as they're doing now, to contest those laws in the Civil Service Act and the Industrial Relations Act that shows you who can initiate the negotiation? People, we are out again. I'll tell you all the dates. Sometime next week, we back out in front of PSA again. Come out, bring your umbrellas, your water, snow cone, come out to let this man know, settle our negotiation, and let us have a chance to go on. Otherwise, it will mean we will not be able to go back before the CPO till about 2026, because there's no timeline in the High Court when the case will be heard, when it will start, the parameters of it. And if they fail there, will they appeal it? We want this matter settled. So people, let me get it right. Money is here in the country now. Let us, public officers, be able to be a part of enjoying this money in real time. 2014, 16 gone, 17, 19 gone, that was the 4% was for. And the unions had no evidence and arguments to show that the government can obtain more than 4% for the period that done road. Let them tell me and say what I say is the wrong thing. Again, thank you, Dominic. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you, Jen. Right, so just take one more for the morning and then we head up to 9 o'clock. Hello, good morning.
Hey, Dominic, let me just talk to Jenny there. Jenny, Leroy had a live, and Leroy's argument is that successful governments have been spending billions and billions, and he talk about how much billions that they spend so they could pay. Oh, Jenny, how come he end up in that position, boy? He's the president. This kind of nonsense this man talking. And no matter how much time people tell him, because on their live and things, people going up and telling them, because the time that you're arguing for the money for the government prove in court that they couldn't pay it, and there is no law that will force anybody, because the government is the employer, will force an employer to pay out what they don't have. So that they're telling them, look, just settle for the 4% and go forward with things. Or if you want to add some little thing for workers to get a little benefit in something here, something there, but he's stubborn boy. Some little thing for workers to get a little benefit in something here, something there, but he's stubborn boy. So they say what stubborn boy. Yeah, man, he takes stubborn and stupidity to a different level. Never see a human being like that. The man, something wrong is either two things I was saying, and the theory that I heard coming up, I heard it from you all and things saying that, look, listen, he looked like he playing for a senatorship in the hopefully and next government coming, but even so, if you're doing that and you're realizing what is going on, you wouldn't, change that tactics and settle for the thing and see where you can get a thing. But you waiting for 2025 or whatever thing, if you get through, and then to go and settle for some kind of thing and say and praise yourself and pat yourself on the back to say, hey, look, you see what I do for workers, and if we did say something, it makes no sense. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right, so that'll do it for this morning, folks. Yes, I was unable to join yesterday, so but we're on this morning, and Sunday goes well, and we will continue the conversation. Always things to talk about, as we say, out of time, but not out of things to say. Some persons have been asking me about the Synergy program. Well, I'm not too sure yet. I'm still waiting word on if and when the program will resume. But yeah, so until then, we make do with what we have, right? So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend. Make it a productive one, and Sunday morning we will chat again. So it's been nice. I'm out.